So your boy has played Wuchang Fallen Feathers. Got about 60 hours in the game, man. I ain't beat it. I'm on the last boss. But for the most part, I can give you guys my honest take on this game. I put so many hours in this game, it was it was kind of unhealthy. I'm gonna be real with you. First off, shout out to 505 for hooking your boy up with a code. I had it for a good amount of time, like 2 weeks. I got lost in this world multiple times, and I wanted to try out multiple playing styles. But this is my review on Wuchang, the Fallen Feathers for PC. I played it on Steam. What's going on, you guys? Gaming out of here, coming at you with another video. Today, we're going to be talking about Wuchang, the Fallen Feathers, man. First off, give you a little bit of an insight on this game. I did play this game prior before it coming out. I went to Summer Game Fest, and I was able to sit down for about an hour, hour and a half to play this game. And what I will say is I was sold on the game then. Look, I am a Souls-like fanboy. I love Souls-like games. I like the experience of them. I like the way a lot of them are designed. I like just about everything related to a Souls-like game. So I was always coming into this because I am getting through like a Souls-like fatigue in a way. And it's not necessarily that I don't like these games anymore. It's just now I don't play every one of them, you know, because I feel like when I play every Souls-like game, I'm starting to feel less and less love for the franchise. So been skipping a couple of them and got my hands on Wuchang Fallen Feathers. And one thing I will say is, let's get it right out there, I enjoyed this game. I know there's going to probably be a lot of like middle ground with this because some of the decisions they made making this, some typical people that play these type of games probably won't resonate with this game as much. Now, I myself, I enjoyed every second I played this game. You know, first thing I want to talk about is like the story in general. I think this is more like a Souls-like game than you'll see Dark Souls, where you have random characters popping up and you talk to them. You know, I personally, and I know a lot of people and people don't like this mindset, but I would like a little bit of like a journal or something to keep up with where I'm talking to people. They say to go somewhere. There's a lot of side activity going into this game, and I think for the most part, the story's engaging, but it's nothing special. And that's just me. I'm sure the lore to this game is amazing. I'm sure if you go around and you look under every rock and you get any type of lore-wise that's in there, there's a lot of stuff you could read. I'm sure you'll really get captivated with the world itself. But I will say, for me particularly, you start out as a individual that has woken up in a cave. She's got this stuff growing out of her arm, and it's something called feathering. And what feathering is doing, it's like a plague. And I used this analogy before where it's like, okay, so you got this plague on you, and it's turning people crazy. But it's not turning her crazy. It's actually giving her abilities, and she's actually being able to use the abilities to her advantage. Kind of like something like I would put like The Last of Us, the Spores ability, where, you get a clicker, but instead of the clicker taking control of their mind, they're able to use the ability of the clicker to their advantage. Story is good, but I wouldn't go out here and try to sell you the eyes just on the story. I'm going to be honest with you. But where this game really captivates you is the immersion. It's the environmental telling. Everything about this particular game, I think they did really well in terms of character development, in terms of characters that show up in the game. Now, obviously, I would have preferred like a journal or something, just to see what's going on. I didn't see one, but I'm not going to sit here and act like it wasn't there. I just personally didn't see one when I was looking through this. And that's not anything bad on it. I just didn't see it. Maybe it is there somewhere. You guys know how I do it, man. I just give you guys my experience. I don't act like my experience is all the experiences. The immersion, I would say, in terms of the story that didn't really grab me as much, the environmental telling definitely picked up in a way going into that. But one thing I will say in terms of this game is the combat and the gameplay. These games extremely gravitate towards that. That's usually where they do the best when it comes to how you fight, boss design, how you level up, what kind of gimmicks are there, how they incorporate their own version, because there's a lot of stuff that goes into Souls-like games, and it just depends on one person to another. You got stuff like Liza P. There's a lot of aspects to this game that you have to go into and you have to really play. And I will say the combat, chef's kiss. Now, where they missed me a little bit on the story, they got me 100% on the combat. There's a variety of weapons in this game. There's the dual swords. There is a spear. You got the long sword, the short sword, and an axe. And pretty much those are your archetypes. And then you got particular weapons for everything in those archetypes. And that's how it goes. Parrying and dodging feels good. One thing I will point out is, if you are to play this game, I would really recommend you go through that skill tree before you get like very frustrated and like quit the game or something like that. There's a lot of aspects to this game that I feel like you're not going to really know unless you look at that skill tree. The skill tree is huge. They have a skill tree for every aspect of the game. They have a skill tree for your axe, for your dual swords, for your law. Every weapon has their own skill tree. And the good thing about this that I think more and more companies are doing is they're letting you respec as much as you want. And what I like about this too is that they don't just let you respec, they let you respec exactly where you want. So for instance, you'll have a scenario where, okay, I've used and I've tried to use the longsword on this particular person, the katana, and it's just not working. I need something a little bit more stronger. Maybe I'm going to try the axe on them. And you're able to reset all the way up to that point where you started the longsword so you can invest it somewhere else. And another thing I have to really give props to these devs is I've always felt like when I played these games, when I played Bloodborne, when I played Dark Souls and you have to upgrade swords, it gets very annoying sometimes where, I have to sit there and I can't really try multiple weapons out. I got to pick one or the other. This game actually did something unique. Now, when you're going around, you'll be fighting these people and you get this material. Most of the time it's people, NPCs with red eyes. When you see them and you're fighting them, you'll get this material. And then you're able to use that material to upgrade your weapons. Now, the good thing about this is the upgrade isn't from a blacksmith or something. The upgrade's actually on the skill tree, and it's refundable. So, for instance, let's say that I put all of this, expertise in the longsword, and now I want to try an axe a little bit. I want to try exactly how that's going to work. They give you the ability to be able to just refund that whole tree, and you're able to actually go into the axe. So not only are you going into the axe and you're trying it, when you fill out that same material, because they're universal. When you get the material, they all work for all the weapons. So you could go into that weapon with the exact amount of level that happens with the longsword. So you're not ever to a situation where you feel like you can't experiment. And did I mention that not only can you do that and you can level up anything you want when you refund, those levels go on the actual weapon archetype itself. So for instance, anything with a long sword is going to have +3, +4, +7. Anything with an axe, if you have the actual materials to upgrade that certain node on the skill tree, is going to have that plus to it. It's going to be one of those things where it's like you focus on one or two weapons at a time. Everything in this game, in that archetype, you're able to actually try, play, and fight. And I really enjoy that because it gives me the ability. There was one particular boss I was doing pretty bad. I probably fought her for 6-7 hours, just straight dying over and over again. And I was desperate, guys. I was respecking every tree, every weapon tree, just trying to find better ways of fighting this individual. And I can't really name another game that gives you that much of ability. I will say that it comes into that. I think the rest of the genre needs to kind of take that into consideration. I like being able to, if I have dual weapons, I can go from, a long sword to another long sword where I can hit them with one move and it goes and hits them with another move. I like that ability, and I think it's really nice that I have that ability when it comes into it. So I will say when it comes to sword stuff in general, you are able to do stuff like switch from one weapon, because you have this thing called Skyborn system. This is how they really manage the abilities on here. So okay, let's take magic. Magic, I would say, is one of the most things that people get upset with the most. Magic is one of those things that people will clown on you if you play Magic in these games. I don't think people are going to really go at people too much when it comes to Magic in this game. And the reason I believe that is because Magic actually is kind of balanced a little bit. You got these Skyborn abilities, which is pretty much how you use your magic, how you use upgraded abilities. So, for instance, when you do a heavy with a longsword, you're actually using that heavy longsword and you're doing it quicker. You use that Skyboard. Now, how do you get Skyboard? You get Skyboard from dodging perfectly. There's actual skill nods on the skill tree that give you it for different abilities. So, like, I do a combo with a longsword, I get a Skyboard. There's a lot of aspects that goes into this that I really like. For instance, when you use a Skyboard, you can use a Skyboard to switch to your secondary weapon, and it does a combo into your secondary weapon. This game's really big on combos, I will say, when it comes to that. I feel like this game does a really good job with that, but I do feel it's going to be one of its Achilles heels. I don't know how it's going to handle it in the long run when it comes to that, because I do know that some people might not like that aspect of the game. Some people will not like that they don't have the freedom to do something, because you have to essentially earn your magic in this game. You can't just go out and shoot magic. You have to earn magic by getting that Skyborn strikes. Look, terms of bosses, I think that is the biggest thing that we got to talk about in bosses. Boss design on this game, I'm going to be real with you, man. You know, it is crazy. The boss designs on this game are so frustrating sometimes. Now, obviously, you got your vials, you know, and those are kind of more like you find these upgrades in these golden chests throughout the game where you're able to actually upgrade the values and how much they heal you. And you're going to need them, man. You're going to need them. And the good thing about this is, for the most part, it was pretty fair in terms of level design getting to these bosses. You know how it is when we play some of these games. They want you to walk a mile to get to them. Now, the level design on this game, I will actually say, is pretty solid. The level design's pretty good. You know, there's some scenarios. I remember there's this one time I went to Dark Souls 1, and there was this gate that was at the end of this white tunnel, and I remember opening this thing, and I remember trying to open it at the beginning of the game and not understanding how do I get over there, and then you get like hours and hours later, and you're able to unlock it, and you're like, oh, this leads to this. And there's a lot of those scenarios, and these shortcuts get you to these bosses fast. Now, there are some that's annoying, I will admit. There are some bosses that you got to travel a little bit, but it's not with everything. You know, the boss designs for this game are solid. I have to honestly give them the props for this. There are some actually really challenging bosses in this game, and I really enjoyed every second I fought these bosses. There's 4 in particular that I was struggling. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was struggling with these 4 bosses in particular, especially one of them. Like I said, I was stuck on him like 7-8 hours, and it was just straight up fighting over and over again. And I was just sitting here trying to figure out exactly how to fight him, and it was beyond frustrating, because I know I can do it. Because that's one thing this game does really well, is I never felt like when I'm dying, it's from the game's bullshit. I always felt like there was something I could have done better. And I do feel that this game does really well in that. Now, people are going to compare this to Sekiro. They're going to compare it to Bloodborne. I think the developer referred to this as like, you know, the Chinese Bloodborne. There's a lot of aspects I can agree with that. You know, the pairing feels really nice. Everything feels really earned. They do a lot of aspects in this game that I have to give them props to. It's a good Souls-like game. Now, do I think it's like amazing? No. I do feel like there's some aspects to other Souls-like games that people are going to gravitate towards more than others. You know, Liza P, that Kassan game. There's a lot of games that I do feel people are going to really gravitate towards. But I do think if you enjoy a challenge, you enjoy good boss design, you enjoy a beautiful game, because I forgot to mention this game is gorgeous. It's on Unreal Engine 5. Everything moves out very well. If you enjoy all of that, I think this is something that you would really, appreciate. This game is in Game Pass, so you could jump in there. And I honestly say, man, like, I really enjoyed my time with Wuchang. I know this ain't gonna be for everyone. These games aren't really for everyone. A lot of people get annoyed. But in the 60 hours I have put into this game, not one time did I feel like I was gonna quit. Not one time. I always wanted to continue going and to continue fighting. And I have to honestly give my props off to that. You know, a lot of other games especially when I fought Homeboy for 8 hours, I'd have just gave up. Like, nah, I'm good, but something gravitated me to keep trying, keep fighting, keep pushing. And I would literally sit down. I have hours upon hours of recording on this game. Like, at least 7 to 8 hours. Multiple recordings. It's like I said, I put 60 hours in this game. Easy. And I'm probably going to end up having 80 when I beat it. Because like I said, I got lost in the world. And not necessarily like lost, but lost in the world itself. You know, the game is a fun environmental thing. The only big thing I would really criticize is I do feel like there's this particular thing that the game has where I don't want to say it, but there is a status effect I feel needs to be just slightly fixed, because I feel like sometimes it gets extremely crazy. Some things I really want to bring up that I feel is extremely important on here is this is one of the very few games that I felt they gave you the ability to play it however you wanted. And the reason that you are able to play however you wanted is because there is no weight system in this game, to what I saw. Now, obviously, maybe putting on some of the equipment, my weight would fluctuate and I just didn't notice. But I really felt like I moved the exact same no matter what I was using or what I was wearing. And I like that. You know, I like sometimes, you know, it depends on what you go when it comes to fashion, Souls fashion, whatever you guys want to say. This game got you covered. And some of the stuff Wuchang be wearing is almost out of pocket. You know, would I say it's like inappropriate? I would say some of them are definitely wearing that line. But I never got once played it and be like, this is absurd. You know, there are some that I'm like, okay, maybe maybe they should have let this out of the game. But I'm sure even though I didn't wear those outfits, some other people will, and they enjoy it. Stella Blade got how much excitement because of stuff like that. So if you guys want to Wuchang your way out, make her wear pretty much nothing fighting, then Wuchang your way out. It's none of my business, none of my judgment. I like my chick looking like a war chief. That's what I particularly like. Look, game's good, man. I enjoyed it. It's on Game Pass. I recommend it. If you guys want to go ahead and support the dev and you enjoy these type of games, I would pay the money for them. Like I said, I got this game for free, so I can't really tell you if you know, it's worth your money because I didn't spend my own money. But I appreciate everyone coming through. Wuchang's definitely a game that I think you should look out for and you should look into. Got 60 hours into it. Definitely going to play more of it. I'm going to try my hardest to beat this last boss. But I appreciate everyone coming through. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button. As always, appreciate it. You can always sub to the channel. We make weekly content on here. I want to thank everyone for supporting the channel. And I really enjoyed this. And once again, thanks 505 Games for providing me with the review code. I really enjoy when these publishers and developers give you enough time to thoroughly sit, play the game, and let it sink in. And I don't know how this game is going to be received. I feel like it's going to be, you know, it's going to be down the middle because there were some things that I particularly was annoyed with, but maybe didn't annoy other people. Some of the stuff that didn't annoy me annoyed them as well. But I don't know. We'll see how it is. But anyway, appreciate everyone coming. And until next time, this Gaming Addict, I'm out of here. Peace. That was my review on Wuchang Fallen Feathers.